No? Yes? Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so nice to see you. This week's Parsha is Akev, and we are reminded that we must not only be aware of the moments of blessing we have in our lives, but also bring a recognition of God's presence into how we live each and every day. As the Hasidic master Abi Lieb, Sarah's son, once said, "A tzaddik, a righteous person, is one who lives Torah, not one who preaches it." Your actions, not your words, are what count. You have to be Torah. Your habits, your emotions, even your motionless way of being are what count. So when I visit tzaddikim, he said, I go not to listen to their interpretation of Torah, but to see how they behave from waking to sleeping. So we too can strive to be Torah, to fulfill the teachings and responsibilities given to us. Shabbat is our moment to take time out to reflect on our past actions and set intentions for the week ahead. We welcome this precious time with anticipation, and we begin by sanctifying light. And so this Shabbat, it's my pleasure to welcome up our bar and bat mitzvah, Marshall and Hannah, along with their mother Sarah and their grandmothers Sharon and Kathy and their great-grandmother Elaine to offer the blessings.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle lights.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
We continue with Kiddush on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, imhilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'ei kodesh, zeher litziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'harta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, Shabbat
Turn with us now to page 12 as we welcome Shabbat with song Lechu Neranena.
Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, la-Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, Nariya, yai lai lai lai, Letzor Yishenu, yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai lai lai lai, la-Adonai, yai lai lai lai, Nariya, yai lai lai, Letzor Yishenu, yai lai lai. For all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our heart to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai lai lai, la-Adonai, yai lai lai, Nariya, yai lai lai, Letzor Yishenu, yai lai. And we continue on page 22, the third line down in the Hebrew or the transliteration, Tov lehodot, giving thanks to God. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Le'akir b'boker chastecha, ve'emunatcha b'leilut. Le'akir b'boker chastecha, ve'emunatcha b'leilut. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon.
Turn back to page 20. We're ready now to welcome the Sabbath bride, singing Lachado Di. We sing verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9, and when we reach that last verse, V'oiva Shalom, we rise as a congregation, turning to face the entrance of our sanctuary to welcome that Shabbos spirit, that Shabbat bride that we feel when we sing together as one. And whether you're with us here in the sanctuary or you're joining us on live stream, know that your spirit and your presence are precious to us all. So we sing with joy, Lachado Di.
Lechado Di Likakala Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lechado Di Likakala Yalalai 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 kakalai, alalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, nekavela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, אללי, 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 פני שבת נקבלה. Shabbat nekavela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki varech kumiori. Uri, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekavela. Boi v'shalom atzeret ba'ala, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 פני שבת נקבלה.
Turn to those around you and say Shabbat Shalom. Let them know you are glad they're here. We continue on page 26 of the Chatzi Kaddish as we remain standing through the Shema.
יתקרב יתקרא שמי רבה, אמן. ועמד יברח רצי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי רחוב בית ישראל. בקלה, בקלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתג'מר ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה, ויתעלה שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו amen.
As we turn to page 28, it is my pleasure to call upon our B'nai Mitzvah, Hannah Charlotte and Marshall Dale Gilraith, to lead us in the next part of our service.
Barehu
Wait for your sister, it's my phone. Okay.
Barehu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
We continue on page 30.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokhmah poteh she'arim, uvitvuna meshaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono.
Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshev, v'choshev mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umavi layla, umavdil bein yom ubein layla. Adonai tzavaot shemo. El hai v'kayam, tamid yimlo chalenu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
We continue on page 32. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever.
Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
We continue together on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elem asher nohi mitzavecha hayom halevavecha Veshinantan levaneha, v'dibartam bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechteham b'derech, uvshofbeham uvkumeha, uvshartam leot al yadeha, v'hailu totafot bein eineha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beiteha, Uvishareha Leman Tiskeru
V'asitem
et kol mitzvotai V'tem kedoshim lelohehem Ani Adonai Elohehem Asher hotzetiatem Meretz Mitzrayim Liot lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohehem.
Emet.
We continue together on the top of page 39, reading responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot.
That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness.
That there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi kamocha
On the bottom of page 43, we read together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapurei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44, we welcome the gift, the opportunity to rest on Shabbat, the gift that it is, v'shamru.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We rise now for the Amidah, beginning on page 46.
Adonai sfatai tiftach. Adonai sfatai tiftach. Ofi yagid tehilatecha. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sfatai tiftach. Adonai sfatai tiftach. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד אתה, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומותיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדור מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. On page 55 at the top, we read together, "May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat." On page 57, keep your finger on that Hatimah, that last line of Hebrew. I want to share with you a reading from elsewhere in our book by John Rayner, and then we will come together for that Hatimah, that blessing together. Torah is what God has revealed to us and what we discern of God. Ideas and ideals, laws and mitzvot, our religious heritage. It unfolds our memories of Abraham and Sarah, of Moses and Miriam and the prophets. It is legislation and explanation, allowing questions that challenge, answers that inspire, all a quest for meaning. It is our way of life, a path for our souls, and the design for a better world. Together, Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha be'ira na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. On page 61, we come together in our prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Having prayed for peace in the world, we think of those who face the future not fully whole, those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit. We think of those who are listed in your service supplement or on your screen if you are joining us on live stream. We think of all of those and any of those that we want to think of tonight as we whisper their names aloud now. Our prayer for healing can be found on the other side of your service supplement.
God of our ancestors,
dear God of our ancestors,
help us renew our faith.
help us renew our faith.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
Restore our strength of body.
Restore our strength of body.
Help clarify our minds.
Help clarify our minds.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Rejuvenate our light.
Rejuvenate our light.
Please take a moment now for your own silent prayers. Adonai tzuri v'goali. Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehu leratzon imrefi v'hegion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri v'goali. Adonai tzuri v'goali.
When I was growing up, I spent my summers at Eisner Camp in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. It is a sister camp of our own Green Family Camp. Every day, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we finished our meals by singing Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meals. This was not exactly a prayerful moment, but rather a raucous sing-along with lots of special hand motions and adapting of Hebrew words into somewhat inappropriate English phrases. At GFC this summer, I was happy to see that this tradition is alive and well. The adaptations were slightly different, but the same spirit was alive and well. The campers might not know exactly what they are singing, but I think they recognize that stopping to offer thanks for being fed is worthwhile. The singing just makes it more fun. As Reformed Jews, saying grace after meal, or birkat for short, is not generally part of our daily practice. So unless you went to summer camp or grew up in a more traditional household, it's likely you're not so familiar with it. But that idea of acknowledging grace, really baracha, blessing from God, especially that which is attached to nourishment, is important. How often do we take our food or our food provider for granted? How often do we eat in a rush, not even tasting what we put in our mouths? How often do we throw away uneaten food because we find it boring or unappealing? If you're like me, then the answer is a lot to all of them. Way too often I eat in a rush, even sometimes in the car on the way to wherever. Way too often I don't plan ahead and then I have to scramble or choose something I don't even want. And way too often I do not pause sufficiently to notice how fortunate I am to always have the means to purchase something to eat. Like many other blessings, Birkat Hamazon is a combination of raising awareness, expressing gratitude, and asking for God's protection. And while there are various nuances for holidays, Shabbat, and other celebrations, the 4 main blessings at Birkat Hamazon's core plays this out. The first blessing praises God for sustaining life and providing food for all creatures. The second blessing thanks God for being compassionate and nourishing the Jewish people, both with food and with Torah. The third blessing begs God to be merciful and continue to support the Jewish people. And the fourth and final blessing stresses how God and the Jewish people have a covenantal relationship. It ends by voicing the hope that God will never deny us anything good. The rabbis of the Talmud believed that the idea of offering a blessing after we eat comes from this week's Torah portion, Akev. Throughout Parshat Akev, Moses emphasizes that existence in the land is conditioned upon obedience, observance, and love, all of which are manifestations of Israel's loyalty to God. It seems that Moses is worried about what will happen when he's not there. He's concerned that once the Israelites are settled in the land, they will grow haughty and overly confident, concluding that they owe God nothing and that they alone were responsible for their harvest of plenty. For this reason, says the rabbis, Moses warned the Israelites not to eat without acknowledging God with words of gratitude. The Talmud compares eating and drinking without reciting a blessing to stealing. In chapter 8 of Deuteronomy, Moses tells the people, "For Adonai your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from plain and hill, a land where you may eat food without stint, where you will lack for nothing. When you will have eaten your fill, give thanks to Adonai your God for the good land given to you." Verse 10 in chapter 8, "Ve'achalta ve'savata uve'erachta et Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz ha'tova asher natan lach." When you've eaten your fill, give thanks to Adonai your God, for God has the good land given to you, is indeed part of the text of the Birkat Hamazon. I imagine that you, like me, have been shocked over the last few years when you headed to the store to pick up an item you always get, only to discover, maybe for the first time, that it was just out of stock. And I'm certain that all of us have noticed that prices at the grocery store and at restaurants have increased drastically. If you live on a particularly modest income, this is an incredible hardship. It's a distressing situation on many levels, and I hope you are aware that we have a small food pantry, H-E-B grocery cards, and other resources available if you are worried about having enough to eat. All this is to say that when you do have a meal, eat it with a sense of gratitude. Even if it doesn't feel quite comfortable to offer up a prayer to God, thank the preparers, thank the servers. Take a moment to think about who grew or harvested the ingredients. Whether we say or sing a formal blessing or not, if each of us takes a moment before we eat and a moment after to pause and reflect on the blessings we've received at the table and in our lives, it might compel us to slow down. We might better notice and acknowledge our surroundings. We may even be inspired towards greater thoughtfulness and generosity when it comes to making sure that everyone has something to say a blessing over as well. At camp, we can program in this moment of gratitude in our daily lives. At camp we can program in that moment of gratitude, but in our daily lives, we are the ones who have to commit. There's no one in front of the room, microphone in hand, to get us started. But don't worry, we've already started tonight by saying Motzi and Kiddush at our pre-Shabbat oneg, and maybe later on, as you finish your Shabbos meal, you'll each take a moment, either communally or privately, to offer a prayer of thanks. I know that I am working on being more thoughtful about it, and I hope you will join me. Amen.
We continue with Aleinu, page 283. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וקורא עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we turn to page 291 for our memorial meditation, we note with sadness the death of Kenneth Sugarman, husband of Carol Sugarman, father of Michael Sugarman, Amy Sugarman and Dan Weingart, and Andrew Sugarman, brother of Sandra Rosenberg, grandfather of Ethan, Claire, and Lindsay, and uncle to 4 nieces, their husbands, and children. A memorial service will be held here in the Wolf Sanctuary on Sunday, August 21st at 1:30 p.m. with a reception to immediately follow. The service will be live streamed. Page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were, in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become, yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community and extended community. As we mark their yahrzeits, we remember them. Edwin Aronson, Rochelle Francis Gittleson Alexander, Louis Arbeter, Cecil Ehrenstein, Anthony Arriaga, Louise Bankler, Max Belsky, Jeanette Ackerman Burler, Lena Brown, Beryl Cantile, Dorothy Doe Coben, Arene Wilson Cohen, Melvin David Cohen, Stanley M. Cornell, William DePere, Sheila Farnett, Harry Aaron Fish, Jack Forbes, Ralph Frapart, Major General Catherine Frost, Charlotte Garson, Elsia K. Glosserman, Marco Gonzalez, Judy Guggenheim, Kava Gurovich, Herbert Halstead Sr., Charlotte Harris, Louis Harris, Stephen Harris, Henry Hankin, Gloria Herman, Dorothy Janko, Mark Carpel, Sidney Kempler, Ray Kinover, Kalman Lowe, Edward Markey, Rabbi Samuel Marks, William Maurer, Joseph S. Middleman, Stella Pearl, Professor Reinhold Sylvester Pating, Camilla K. Poland, Evelyn Poland, Dr. Louis Richmond, Laura Richmond, Dorothy Roos, Marcus Roos, Robert Rosenthal, J. Marvin Salzman, Pearl Sandfield, Morris Schoenbaum, Eleanor Seelig, Morton Shefts, Israel Silber, Jerry Sivan, Ronald Scholar, Faye Stein, Gunther Strelke, Rosa Tobin, Morton Morty Whitkin, Alice J. Wolf, and Adriana Garza Zimmerman. To these names, we add the name of one who died in the past month, whose family is in a mourning period of Shloshim. We remember Stephen Lang. We also think of one who has been buried this past week, whose family is in a mourning period of Shiva. We remember Martin Marty Goldberg, husband of Jeanette Goldberg, father of Stephen and Carmen Goldberg, Robert and Terry Goldberg, and Barbara and William Barrero, grandfather of Aaron, Miriam, Mara, and Michelle, great-grandfather of Abraham, Ryan, Boyce, Evan, and Logan. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we rise together as a community on page 294 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevarach le'elam u'mei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudasha b'richu, La'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. It is my honor to call forward Debbie Roos, President of our Board of Trustees, to deliver tonight's announcements.
I'd like to welcome everyone, and I'm very glad that you could join us in our sanctuary or in your own sacred space. First, I'd like to welcome Rabbi Nathan back from sabbatical. Where'd you go? Oh, you're on the wrong side. So confusing. While we're thrilled that you got to go away, rest, study, travel, write, and spend some time with your family, we are equally glad to welcome you back to our Temple Beth-El family. Relatedly, holding down the tabernacle, for it seemed kind of inappropriate given our venue, that required people picking up extra work, wearing atypical hats, and stepping out of comfort zones. For that, we are grateful, specifically to Rabbi Jurgen and Cantor Berlin, but also to all of the staff who stepped in and stepped up to keep Temple moving forward. So truly, thank you. A few weeks ago, I started talking about the purpose of Temple Beth-El. I had another thought about this week as I learned more about a new friend. This friend found Temple Beth-El, and more specifically Judaism, as many of us do, not by birth, but by conscious, intentional choice. This intentionality made me consider my own affiliation to both Judaism and the synagogue. I realized in college that I would never be anything but Jewish, but was never quite sure how Jewish I would be. That is, would I affiliate? Would I attend services? Little did I know, I'd be doing this weekly. Would I celebrate the holidays? And candidly, Marty and I weren't married at Temple, but Rabbi Stahl was kind enough to co-officiate. But choosing Judaism as I did, and subsequently choosing Temple, like my friend did, has actually shaped my identity. Not just my Jewish identity, but my full identity, who I am as a complete human, under this dome and beyond. Knowing who you are, what you believe in, even if that changes or is challenged, knowing what you stand for and who stands with you, knowing that you have a name and are not a number, that is key to our identity. And that, I think, is key to the purpose of Temple Beth-El. With that in mind, I'd like to wish Mazel Tov to Hannah Gilraith and Marshall Gilraith, children of Sarah and Jeffrey Gilraith, grandchildren of Sharon and Jim Gilraith, and Kathy Menger and Thomas Menger of blessed memory, great-grandchildren of Elaine Eisner and extended family. I'd also like to thank Hannah, Marshall, Sarah, Sharon, Elaine, and Kathy for lighting our Shabbat candles this evening. We hope you can join us tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. when we will continue to celebrate Hannah and Marshall's becoming B'nai Mitzvah as a community. The high holidays are quickly approaching, and with them, some pre-high holiday announcements. Letters regarding this year's Book of Remembrance have been mailed. Submissions can be done online. The deadline is Tuesday, August 30th. If you have questions, please contact Edith Vanden Ventner. Can never do that right. Our preparations for the high holidays are meant to help us reflect on the year that has passed and examine the ways we can better fulfill our obligations to our families, community, and God in the year to come. We invite you to sign up for a daily email with the Temple to help guide you through your process of reflection. Each day you will receive a brief, spiritually sustaining email from clergy, staff, or lay leaders reflecting various high holiday themes. Everything going on at Temple is listed on our website calendar and in our weekly email, which arrives in your inbox around 4 p.m. every Thursday. Shabbat Shalom.
Our closing song is, I believe, Oseh Shalom, and you can find those words on page 62 is what I was going to say. Thank you. If you need them, please rise.